Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sara Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make tiny improvements to your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon. Hello and welcome to this episode. All right, we are continuing on with Set It Up September. We are getting things in place so that when the new year starts in just a few months, we will be ready to hit the ground running. So this week, I am talking about a calendar audit. I have already done an episode on a calendar audit, but like a lot of things that I talk about, I was kind of figuring that out as I recorded that episode. I had never actually done it and implemented it before, and now I have. So this is kind of my follow-up episode, and I'm going to encourage you all to do this before the end of the year because it has been such a game changer in my business. And now that I kind of have a flow of how I'm keeping track of my calendar, it's just become really awesome. I just wanted to share this tip with you. So a calendar audit is nothing fancy. It is literally going back through your calendar from the year, looking at your events, and just making notes of anything that is recurring. So things like high school graduations. And I'm not talking about an individual person having a graduation party, because obviously they're not going to have that again. I'm talking about a college university that used you for their commencement ceremony. Or I had a lot of welcome back, it's September right now. I just finished a lot of welcome back freshman events or opening convocations. I had a lot of colleges this year, which was awesome. So I have gone and as those events happen, I am now keeping track of what they are. Basically, I'm keeping a list of my recurring big fish, if you will. Corporate jobs are awesome because they're spending money that isn't theirs. Like this college college welcome back week that I just did. They bought 3 30-foot arches like it was nothing, like a drop in the bucket compared to what they were spending on their welcome week events. So, and that was a huge event. It was super easy. And colleges are great because a lot of times they have people to help you. They have students. So I set up 3 30-foot arches on a football field in less than a half an hour because there were 9 people to help me. It was incredible. So obviously I want that event every single year. So I'm going to go through my calendar and I'm going to make a note about that event and when it was and who my contact was. I had another graduation, I keep saying graduation. I had another welcome back event the following week, and same thing. It was that corporate style, no thought, it was just a classic arch, which isn't the most beautiful thing to look at, but it is super easy and looks clean and looks professional. And they are for sure going to have that event again the following year. Things like holiday corporate Christmas parties, which I know some of us are kind of in a rut with those because we kind of missed them last year, but that's an even better reason why to go back 2 or 3 years and figure out who you used to do holiday parties for and get them back. Send them an email, be like, are you having your party again this year? Because I'm ready. I have a long list of bars and restaurants that I do for New Year's Eve, so I hardly take any new New Year's Eve clients, and it is so easy when you know the venue, you know the person you're working with. You can just place the order for exactly the same thing they did the year before. You know how to get in the building and where to park. The benefit of working on repeat customers or repeat clients, it saves you so much energy and time. It's absolutely worth trying to keep them. Other things that might be recurring, like I said, back to school stuff, maybe certain holiday stuff. I have a mall that always does a Halloween party outside. They do trick-or-treating from store to store, and they always order balloons. So things like that happen every year, that they're predictable. You know when they're going to happen, you know who to contact, you know what they ordered last year. Just go through your calendar and document when all of those things happen. And then going into next year, those should be your top priority clients. Everything else should be new business. I mean, obviously you're going to have new business. You want new business, but ideally, if I could fill my entire calendar with repeat customers, I for sure would, because like I said, the energy required to work with someone you've worked with for 3 years is so different than the energy required to introduce yourself to a new client and try to get their business and walk them through your pricing and send them proposals. And these corporate clients who have to book the same thing year after year after year, like they do not care. Like they want the same red and white spiral arch that they had last year on the same day in the same spot. And the less work that you make for them, the better. And their money is just as green as a new client who might have a really fun, creative, interesting project. Like I know we all get drawn to the new business because it's always like there's something bigger and better, but the money that you can get from your repeat clients it's easier money in my mind. That's how I think of it. It is easier. It takes less organizing, less communicating. I just booked a recurring job in 2 emails. It was like, are you available again? Yes, I am. Do you want the same thing? Yes, I do. And I sent the invoice and they paid in full. So like that is the way I want to do business in a perfect world. And the only way that you're going to kind of build up that many repeat customers is if you are the person reaching out. I always tell the story. I used to work for a college music department that had like, I don't know, 25 pianos to have them tuned. And for whatever reason, I was the person in charge of booking the tunings. And guess who I booked? The person who contacted me. Like we had 3 tuners and one of them would reach out 3 months before and say, hey, Sara, are you still good for like a beginning of the year tuning? I can be there in the middle of August and have all the pianos ready for the beginning of the year in September. Does that work for you? And all I had to do was say yes and then use someone else's money to pay that bill. And it was awesome. It was just because they reached out first. So go through your calendar, go back a couple years because it has not been normal, to say the least. Go back a couple years, look at what you did, which jobs you enjoyed. I mean, I think you could also do this in the opposite sense too. If you have a customer that comes back every single year and you hate them and they're hard to work with and their job sucks, maybe be ready to be coincidentally booked already on their date this year. Use your historical knowledge to your benefit. Like if you are just living and dying by what pops into your inbox every day, that's a really stressful way to run your business. It's much easier to look at your calendar and know that you have this consistent money that's likely to recur every single year. So the quicker that you can reach out to people, confirm that they are having their event again. If you have all of those details stored and you can make their job easier, build up your calendar and outline the type of year that you want to have. Outline the clients that you want to work with. And it really has changed how I've done business. It's made me feel a lot more in control. And I think it's made me look a lot more impressive to the clients that already know me, that already like me. But because I can recall their details, because I know how much they paid last year, that makes them really comfortable. The other thing I will say is that I have had a lot of luck with schools this year. So I did a lot of graduations and I did a lot of welcome back ceremonies. A lot of those things were booked by TAs or like student workers or people that might not be there next year. So in your follow-up email, just say like you had such a great time, you really want to be able to help next year, and ask if they're the person to contact. Most of the time they won't be because they're going to be gone, but they'll give you the name of their supervisor. So that is a really important part too. You want to know who to contact so that you're not like running around via email trying to figure out who's planning this event. So I have started keeping a list of that as well. So do your calendar audit. Do it now before the year starts so that you can have that first quarter pre-booked, maybe before January even hits. Start reaching out to people who have Valentine's, and holiday events, even New Year's. It's not too late to kind of look back at the last couple New Year's and cash in on the last few months of the year here. Okay, next week, I am going to be talking about setting up your CRM, specifically 17 Hats. That's the CRM that I use. So some of the things that I have been talking about in these Set It Up episodes might seem daunting. And that's why I wanted to kind of like front load some of these tasks, then have my episode about 17 Hats so that I can almost discuss how 17 Hats handles some of these things for me. So like I just said in this episode, when I reach out to a client, I know exactly what their order was last year. I know how much they paid. I know where I dropped off. I know all those details. And it is because of 17 Hats. I can just search that contact person, or I can search the date, or I can search the location. And all of that information for every client I've ever had is stored in 17 Hats. So if you're like, what am I saying right now? 17 Hats, it's Google it, or just use the link in the show notes. It's a CRM, which is a customer relationship management tool, I'm pretty sure. Basically, it's like a big, huge digital file box that stores all of your client information. In addition, mine also does all of my invoicing. It does all of my bookkeeping. It does automated emails. So all of this stuff I talked about in this episode, if that sounds daunting to you, like how do you stay organized? For me, it's because I have a little robot helper doing it for me and with me. And that's what I'm going to talk about next week in this episode about setting up a CRM. So figuring out your workflow, figuring out email templates, just talking about 17 Hats in general. But I did want to kind of front load that so you know that it's coming, so that if you're interested, if you don't have a CRM currently, that you can use the link in the show notes to kind of just check it out. Also, 17 Hats is sponsoring me to go to Balloon Boss Summit. So Balloon Coach is the sponsor of this show, and Balloon Boss Summit is our in-person once-a-year event where we learn about balloon businesses, and I will be teaching, thanks to 17 Hats. They're sponsoring me to go. So I'll be talking about my CRM, how I use it, how I streamline, how I'm able to run basically a full-time balloon business, but also work full-time and also have a daughter that I'm taking care of at home because of COVID, and she's not in school yet. So it's just, I do all the things, and I couldn't do it without 17 Hats, which is why I'm going to give them a big, long, in-depth episode. Also, if you go to Summit, my goal is for you to be able to actually like implement 17 Hats in your business and go home with an implemented CRM. So like having a form on your website and having your workflow set up and having email templates ready to go, so that you can go and do like almost like an intensive with me in Florida in November. Get all of that hard stuff set up with some help, so that when you go back home, you have this, again, I like to say my robot assistant, you have all that set up for you and in advance. So it's going to help if you know what I'm talking about next week. So use the link, head over to 17 Hats, and just kind of poke around and see what it is and what it kind of does. Similar things are like Dubsado or Honeybook, or if you've heard any of those things that kind of manage people's businesses, I use 17 Hats and I love it. So that is why I'm going to do an episode next week about that. But in the meantime, do that calendar audit, go back and make a list of your very best customers, what they ordered, when they ordered it, and get ready to start contacting them before they contact you. I promise it will generate way more money than just waiting for people to contact you. All right, I will see you next week. That wraps up this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, I tried to keep it bright and light in a few minutes or less. I'll talk to you next time. For more information about any of the resources or courses mentioned in today's show, please head to TheBrightBalloon.com or check the show notes wherever you're listening.